Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're anything like us, you've probably glanced at your phone maybe 3, 4 times just in the last few minutes.
Oh, easily. Just making sure nothing vital popped up.
Exactly. So today we're tackling this huge stack of research about our digital lives. We're going to distill the really key stuff, the highest signal knowledge on, well, the hidden cost of being constantly connected. We all kind of feel it, right? That feeling of being just wiped out, exhausted, even if we haven't really done much physically. Okay, let's unpack this. We're looking for that shortcut, to understand why being always online feels so draining.
Mm-hmm. And crucially, how that digital leash is maybe eroding our well-being
Yeah.
and definitely our productivity.
Yeah.
And the sources we've looked at, they really force us to ask this fundamental question. Is that ping, that notification buzz, is it really connection?
Wow.
Or has it become more of a compulsion?
For compulsion, yeah, that feels right.
For most of us, let's be honest, we're probably responding more to the compulsion than we are actually, connecting in a meaningful way.
Okay. So our mission today, it's not just to say screens are bad because, well, that's obvious. We want to get into the specifics. Unveil the precise impact this constant connectivity has on how you think, your cognitive function.
And give people practical steps, right?
Exactly. Specific practical strategies you can actually use, like starting today, to find some balance again.
Okay, let's start right there with that compulsion you mentioned. Why is it so incredibly difficult to just put the phone down sometimes? The research talks about this feeling of pressure, this illusion of always on.
Yeah, and it taps into something really basic, actually. It's rooted in FOMO, the fear of missing out.
FOMO, the classic.
Right. And, evolutionarily, being left out, excluded from the group, that was dangerous. Today, it's kind of twisted into this anxiety that the world, your work, your friends, whatever, is just moving on without you if you're not constantly checking in.
So that fear is basically driving this cycle, this digital addiction loop.
It really is the engine. And it's not just about missing, I don't know, party photos or something. No, it bleeds into work, into expectations.
Absolutely. Which brings us to that behavioral shift. This subtle but really, really powerful pressure to respond instantly.
Right. Someone emails you at night or texts you,
Yeah.
and you feel you have to reply right away.
You do. The moment that alert dings, especially if it feels work-related, even way outside work hours,
Yeah.
there's this sense of obligation that just kind of bypasses rational thought.
Like if a client emails at 8:15 p.m.
Many people feel they need to jump on it immediately,
Mm.
even if it's just to say, got it.
Yeah.
Why? Because the norm has shifted.
It's weird because before smartphones, if someone called your house at 8:15 p.m., that meant something urgent was happening.
Exactly. It was an emergency signal. Now, an email, which is supposed to be asynchronous, you deal with it when it gets treated with that same level of urgency.
And that just destroys the boundaries.
It completely blurs the lines. When you normalize that instant response outside of work, you basically erase the idea of having real personal time. Your phone, which ironically was meant to give you flexibility,
Freedom.
it ends up chaining you to a virtual desk 24/7. And when those lines blur, that mental space you need to recover to just,
Yep.
it vanishes too. You're never fully off.
Your brain just never gets that chance to properly switch off and reset. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You're constantly in this low-level alert state.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the brain itself, the cognitive costs. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about attention spans, or as the sources call it, shredded focus. Why do we feel like our brains are just running on empty by, like, lunchtime?
Okay, so this is where it gets quite specific. Honestly, a bit concerning when you look at the mechanism.
Mhm.
These constant notifications, they don't just interrupt you when you're trying to focus. They actively shred our attention.
That sounds violent.
It kind of is, cognitively speaking. They break our focus down into these tiny, tiny units. And the research suggests these units are often no longer than, get this, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Seriously.
30 seconds. Think about it. You're reading something, maybe a report, ping, text message, you glance over, maybe you reply quickly, you look back at the report. Wait, where was I? Oh, Slack message flashing. Ping, email notification.
Oh, yeah. That's my morning.
Your brain's program for reading report gets shut down. Then you start replying to text, then shut that down, restart reading report, but you've lost your place, then start checking Slack. It's this rapid switching. It feels like multitasking, maybe even productive.
But it's actually just exhausting.
Incredibly taxing.
Right.
Because you're not really doing one thing well.
Okay, so that hits the core question then. If I spend, say, an afternoon just dealing with Emails, Slack, texts. I feel busy, sure, but I also feel completely drained. Even if the main thing I needed to do, that big project, didn't get touched, why that deep exhaustion?
Right, that feeling is the direct result of the high cognitive cost of context switching. Every single time you shift your attention from writing something detailed to glancing at your social media feed to answering a quick message, your brain has to perform this whole routine.
A routine.
Yeah, it has to save the state of the first task, shut down the mental programs needed for it, then load up and boot the programs for the next task.
Okay, analogies help me, like switching programs on a computer.
Exactly. Imagine your brain is like a really powerful but maybe slightly old server. If you run one complex program on it for an hour straight, it's pretty efficient. But if you try to open program A, close it, open B, close it, reopen A, close it, open C 50 times in an hour.
The computer would just grind to a halt trying to keep up.
Precisely. The overhead, the energy just spent on starting and stopping and saving where you were, it's enormous. You burn way more mental energy on the switching itself than you would if you just focus deeply on one thing.
So I'm busy switching, not busy doing.
That's a great way to put it. You're busy switching all day, not doing deep, focused work. And that's why you feel so cognitively drained at the end of it.
Wow. Okay. And what about creativity? Original thought. Because I definitely do this. Any tiny moment of downtime, waiting for coffee, walking somewhere, phone comes out, start scrolling.
Yeah, and that's a huge loss. We effectively replaced what some call the lost art of boredom and creative wandering with, well, mostly mindless scrolling.
Lost art of boredom. I like that. Sounds kind of nice, actually.
It is nice, and it's crucial. Those moments where your mind is just drifting, unstructured. That's not wasted time. That's when your brain does essential background work, like consolidating memories, making unexpected connections.
Aha moments.
Exactly. Solving problems creatively, coming up with genuinely new ideas. 10, 15 years ago, waiting for the bus, you just stood there, thought, daydreamed. Now, that void is instantly filled.
Filled with optimized noise, as you put it.
Optimized noise is right. We sacrifice that vital mental space where real insights can happen. If every single empty moment gets plugged with external stuff, your brain literally never gets a chance to just breathe, reflect, or wander off on its own creative path.
That really makes the cost feel tangible. It's not just lost time. It could be lost ideas, lost breakthroughs. Okay, let's shift then. Let's look at the physical and mental side effects, because the sources are pretty clear. This isn't just about feeling a bit foggy. It hits our actual health.
Oh, absolutely. The health costs are real, and they're often linked. We generally see harm falling into three main buckets. First, and maybe the one people know best, is sleep disruption.
Right, the blue light thing.
Blue light is part of it for sure. Screens emit it, messes with melatonin production, confuses our body clock, standard stuff. But honestly, it's often worse than just the light itself.
How so?
Think about what you're doing late at night on your phone. That last scroll through social media, checking emails one last time, it's psychologically activating.
Ah, so you're not winding down, you're winding up.
Exactly. You might be engaging with work stress or falling into that comparison trap on social media we mentioned earlier. So instead of relaxing, you're potentially jacking up your anxiety right before trying to sleep. You end up stealing that deep, restorative rest your brain desperately needs.
Okay, and that's itself must have an impact, especially if we're already stressed from all that context switching all day.
Which brings us neatly to the second point. Anxiety and stress amplification. Social media, just by how it's built, it's basically a stage, right? Everyone posts their highlight reel.
A curated perfection. Yeah.
And seeing that constantly creates this really damaging constant comparison trap.
It's the volume of it too, isn't it? Not just seeing it once.
That's the key. It's not one friend's amazing vacation photo. It's seeing 5, 10, 20 curated, perfect-looking moments rammed between your work tasks every single day. This relentless feed, it just amplifies feelings of inadequacy or stress about what you haven't achieved.
Especially when you're already feeling frazzled and know your own day doesn't look like that filtered picture.
Precisely. It feeds right back into that FOMO, that cycle of self-criticism. And finally, bucket number 3, the direct physical consequences.
Okay, like actual aches and pains.
Yeah. Think about how you hold your phone or sit at your computer. Tech neck is a real thing. Chronic neck and shoulder pain. Headaches, eye strain from staring at tiny screens for hours.
I feel that sometimes.
And beyond that, just the sheer amount of time spent glued to a device often means less time moving. it contributes massively to sedentary lifestyles, which, as we know, comes with a whole cascade of negative health effects down the line.
So it sounds like this vicious cycle. The stress of being always on makes us maybe reach for the phone for a distraction.
Which then feeds the comparison anxiety, disrupts sleep, maybe makes us sit longer.
Deepening the overall stress, both physical and mental. Wow, okay, that paints a slightly bleak picture. But the good news is the research also offers very clear, very practical solutions, which is exactly what we, and hopefully you listening, are looking for. How do we actually break this cycle? How do we reclaim some control?
Okay, so the fundamental shift has to be moving away from that reactive compulsion we talk about and towards intentional choice. This isn't about, throwing your phone in the river.
Tempting sometimes, but probably not practical.
Not practical, no. It's about building, let's call them digital fences, setting clear boundaries. And the strategies are really quite actionable, but they do require conscious effort, real intent.
Where do we start?
First practical step. Conduct a rigorous notification audit. Sit down and honestly ask yourself, which apps truly deserve the right to interrupt my attention at any moment?
Deserve the right. I like that framing.
Yeah. Which ones are genuinely critical for safety or core communication you absolutely need instantly? For most people, the honest answer is probably 3, 4 apps max.
Okay.
Everything else, turn off the notifications. Especially, and this is key, disable those little red badge counters on the app icons.
The number bubbles. Yeah, those drive me nuts.
They're designed purely to trigger FOMO. Disabling just those badges can bring a surprising amount of mental quiet. It's a huge first step.
Okay. Audit notifications, kill the red bubbles. What else?
Alongside that, use the tools your phone already has. Set strict app limits on your biggest time wasters. You know which ones they are. Social media, news feeds, games maybe.
Be honest with yourself.
Be brutally honest. This is about moving towards intentional consumption. When you do decide to check Instagram or whatever, make sure you're actually getting value or genuine connection, not just sucked into an hour of low-quality noise. Maybe even curate your feeds more aggressively.
Right, prune the noise. But let's get real for a second. What if your job culture is demanding? What if you're on a global team and people expect replies at odd hours? How do you actually enforce a scheduled disconnect without seeming like you're slacking off?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a totally valid hurdle. The absolute key here is communication and expectation setting, proactively.
So don't just vanish. Tell people you're vanishing.
Exactly. These scheduled disconnects, and especially setting up rigid, deep work blocks, they need to be communicated boundaries, not secret acts of rebellion.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
You could tell your team, look, to get this big project done efficiently, I'm blocking off 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day for focused work. During that time, my notifications are off, phone's on silent, maybe even in a drawer. If the building is literally on fire, call my desk phone, or whatever the emergency protocol is.
Setting the expectation.
Setting the expectation. The research strongly suggests protecting even just 1 or 2 solid 90-minute blocks of uninterrupted deep work each day. Phone physically absent or totally silenced can dramatically boost not just focus, but actual output and quality.
So you train yourself, and maybe your colleagues, that focus time is sacred. You know you'll check the noise later during scheduled shallow work time.
Precisely. You replace that chaotic reactive cycle with a proactive design system. You build fences to protect your focus, and by extension, protect your personal time too.
Okay, so we have the tech fixes, audits, limits, deep work blocks, but what about the bigger picture, the analog habits needed to really make this stick, to design that balanced digital life?
Right, because the tech tweaks only go so far if the foundation isn't there. The ultimate goal is kind of shifting your identity, almost. From being the person who's always instantly available to being the person who is focused, productive, and actually well-rested.
That sounds like a good identity to have.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that requires building strong, resilient, real-world habits that support your brain and body. Foundational stuff. Like prioritizing sleep, consistent restorative sleep, non-negotiable, like making sure you get enough movement, intentionally getting up, walking away from the screen, even just for 5 minutes every hour, breaking that sedentary pattern.
And connecting with actual people.
Crucially, yes, cultivating genuine relationships through intentional offline experiences, making time to connect with people face-to-face, connect with nature, connect with the real world around you, physically and emotionally, not just through a glowing rectangle.
So these basic health habits actually give you the strength to resist the digital pull.
They give you the mental and physical stamina. When you're well-rested and less stressed overall, it's much easier to resist the siren call of that constant ping. It's all part of building your personalized digital wellness plan.
It really sounds like a holistic thing, not a one-off detox, but this ongoing process of making small, consistent, intentional choices that add up to big results for your focus and your sanity, really.
That's exactly it. It's moving away from just passively reacting to the technology all around us and towards actively designing a life where technology serves your goals instead of dictating your every waking moment.
So what does this all mean? If you're listening and trying to get a handle on this, I think the core takeaway is crystal clear. The biggest hidden cost of always being connected, it's losing control over your own attention.
Your most valuable resource.
Exactly. And making that shift from being driven by compulsion to acting with intention, setting those boundaries, that's the absolute key to cutting that cost and getting your mental energy back. And remember, it doesn't have to be drastic overnight. Just doing that 30-second notification audit we talked about, or carving out one single 90-minute block for deep work tomorrow. That's a small, intentional step, but it can have a really profound positive ripple effect on your productivity and definitely on your stress levels.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on, kind of building on that idea of context switching and losing that valuable boredom time. The next time you feel that intense pressure to respond instantly to a notification, especially one that blurs that work-life line, just pause.
Pause and ask.
Ask yourself, what am I sacrificing right now by answering this immediately? What creative thought, what moment of rest, what focused task am I interrupting? Try to actually weigh the value of that instant reply, which, let's be honest, is often near zero against the value of the moment you just lost. The moment of potential insight or deep work or just simple cognitive peace that got shattered by that ping. Think about what that instant reply is truly costing you